motherhood underlies everything. My guess is that most of you know one of my parents much better than the other. And although technically my brother Dominic and I probably have the most direct experience with them as a couple, I can't say that our experience is particularly objective or characteristic. Besides, our parents are more than our parents. They are your friends and colleagues, neighbors, siblings, aunts and uncles. And even though we're here today for their 50th wedding anniversary, we have to admit that the fact that they're husband and wife is not the only thing we want to celebrate. To that end, I've assembled a small panel of speakers who will each tell us something about how my parents have touched their lives. You can expect 10 different representatives, each sharing something short and sweet. First, I'd like to introduce my mom's friend, Dorothy. Dorothy is graciously standing in for Sharon, her sister, unable to make it today, who is one of my mother's oldest and dearest friends. Dorothy?
I'll try not to.
Would you like a hand?
I'm afraid.
No.
Upset Daisy.
I am not getting up there, bud.
Well, as Beth mentioned, my sister Sharon and Annette have been friends for a long time, 40 years, so they go back a ways. And out of their friendship evolved a very small group who like to call themselves tea ladies. And that includes myself, a mutual friend of ours, Annette Bonnickman, and my sister. And it was out of my sister's friendship with Annette that for over a decade now, we have been meeting for afternoon teas on a fairly regular basis. So that's why we get called the tea ladies. Annette likes to call ourselves not just tea ladies, but the loose tea ladies.
Well, it's better than the baggy tea ladies.
There are several reasons for this. One is, of course, we prefer loose tea to bag tea. And we would never call ourselves tea baggers. Another reason is because Jerry made it certain that we could never be called teetotalers, because he introduced spirits into our tea libations. He would bring champagne and other spirits to add to your. So thank you, Jerry, for adding that element to our tea ritual. I think there was a third way I had in mind, but of course my mind is blanking. And if I try to read this, I'll have to put on my glasses. But I just want to mention how inspiring this friendship with Annette and Jerry, who are afternoon teas, has been for those of us who have met on this regular basis, including, by the way, special guests that we had on occasion to join us. If any of you have had tea at Annette's, you know what a spectacular table she sets. I mean, she's got a different set of china for every occasion. She has table decor for all these different themes. The detail that you see of the flowers here, I mean, that's just like how Annette would set a, well, maybe not this elaborate, but you get the idea. A lot of attention to detail. And those spirits of Jerry's have liquid spirits, I should say, have also been inspiring. They, let us loosen up after, the pressure of our day-to-day work. And those tea gatherings really did inspire our professional activities as well. Out of this little small group meeting for tea, two of us published philosophy books. One published a book in public policy. And as you know, Annette is always involved in directing or acting in various plays in our regional theaters. So I bring my little speech to a close and say thank you so much, Annette and Jerry, for being such an inspiration. And May your teapots always be full.
Next up, please meet Pastor Gary Erickson, the former pastor of Bethlehem Lutheran Church and member of Monday Night Football Club.
I think I got it. When Beth first contacted me and asked if I could say a few words at this event, I responded with an enthusiastic yes, because I had so many good stories. But then when she responded with a thank you, she said, "Nothing embarrassing, please." So I had to fish. No, not really. I want to open my remarks with just a couple of words from Paul's letter to the Romans. In the 5th chapter, Paul writes that endurance produces character, and character produces hope, and hope does not disappoint. Endurance produces character, and character produces hope, and hope does not disappoint. Now, there's just a little phrase before that I'm leaving out, and that says, suffering produces endurance. I figured the number 50 was self-evident and we didn't have to go there. No, I didn't. So, but I do want to talk just a little bit about endurance. I met Jerry and Annette 10 years ago when I came to DeKalb to serve as pastor of Bethlehem Lutheran Church. And one of the outstanding characteristics that I ran into with these two was their endurance. They were some of the people who hung in there, who made sure things happened, and who had an energy for the fact that things could be better, which then leads me to the next part, which is character. If endurance produces character, then we've got a couple of really good characters here. People of character that is deep and as well as broad, people of character that grasps hold of the understanding of hospitality and friendship, people of character who know what it means to endure with those around them, both in good times and bad. So I greatly appreciated that. But most outstanding in my experience of Jerry and Annette over the years has been their hope. Both of them exhibit a hope that things will be better tomorrow. That no matter what this world is going through today, no matter what the crisis of the moment might be, things can be better tomorrow. People filled with hope, and a hope that does not disappoint. A hope that does not leave us wanting, but rather asks us to come back again and again to that deep well of character and find the endurance that we need so that we can join together, knowing that we are all in this together, looking for a better world for today as well as tomorrow. So Jerry and Annette have exhibited those characteristics of endurance, of having strong character, and of embodying hope. And that is a hope that does not disappoint. It's been my privilege as well as your privilege and my honor to be able to stand here and to speak to you about them. And I thank you for supplying us with a good deal of hope, a hope that does not disappoint.
Thank you, Mayor.
Next up, we have Brian Reese, the Executive Director of the Elwood House Museum, as well as this property.
That's a purple.
Everyone.
Usually when I stand in front of a group of people, my mouth opens and I start talking about architecture. I think it's just something that happens when you're a museum director or curator. And as I was thinking about that, I thought, well, this story actually does start with architecture, because it starts with the building in which we're standing right now, we're seated. This building was designed by an architect, Charles Brush, in 1899, and the building was completed in 1900. It was by Perry Elwood and May Elwood, his wife, who it was constructed for. And those two lived in this house for about 10 years and then inherited the mansion. By 1912, this building was undergoing changes, and this room that we're standing in right now was added on. And it was added on for a special event. It was added on for a wedding. And that wedding happened on September 14th, 101 years ago. So we're close, right? But the idea of special events as bookends, I think, is really interesting, because while this building has this great history, and just 2.5 years ago, this house was a private home. And although Mrs. Deering that lived here had events, now this building has a whole new life. And that life of this building is partially because of Jerry and Annette. The room that we're in is the Jerry and Annette music room, in memory of Annette's father. The plaque there over by the door. A remarkable donation to a remarkable home. And really, this gift starts 2 years ago when I came, 2.5 years ago when I came to Elwood House. Jerry and Annette were both so welcoming to me as a new director. I remember coming to my first board meeting, or the first couple of board meetings, and they were all a bit of a blur. And Jerry would call me the next morning and say something like, "So how did you think that meeting went last night?" And I answered, and I think I'm still answering. We're having that same conversation just about every month. But the idea is it's a dialogue, and they both have helped with the museum so much over the years. Annette, an employee long ago, right, Annette? And a volunteer ever since. And she still helps with anything from editing a newsletter to giving tours. I believe she gave one yesterday. And Jerry, as vice president of our board, I mean, you know what Jerry is. He just steps in and does what needs to be done. I share qualities that they both have. Some days I want to hide in my office and be a little quiet and maybe have a cup of tea and think of the world in a different way. And other days, it's like pick up that phone and make some phone calls. With Jerry and that support, we've done a lot. And we've turned this place into a museum. And I can't thank you anymore for that sort of support and background. Your leadership, generosity, and just that kind of go-getter sort of attitude of going out and making things happen. And most of all, I thank you for your friendship. Thank you.
Please welcome Tommy Schramm, my mom's brother, visiting from Vancouver, Washington.
My name's Tommy Schramm. I'm Annette's brother, and I don't know if I need this microphone. I probably don't. There's a lot of people here, and I think it's fitting for this couple to be honored by all your presence, the presence of all of you, it's kind of a family deal. There's a lot of family here. My children are here, and Jerry's brothers and sisters are here, and I think part of the reason why so many of us are is because they're so outstanding. They're really amazing people. There's a couple of things that have been said. This guy that just talked kind of stole my glory. I hate to admit it, but I did not know about this plaque on the wall. I knew about the dedication of the room. But to my father, who was married to his wife for 50 plus years, over 60 actually, and when it was mentioned earlier about their 50th, and somebody said that, well, Beth mentioned that she was at my parents' 50th wedding anniversary party thing, And she wasn't born yet. In fact, they weren't even married yet when Annette and my grandparents celebrated 50 years of being married. So there's a legacy that that they're following in, and that I think is just really amazing. It's uncommon in our time, and I'm really, really proud of them. And my father, who was a barbershop quartet singer for up until about a couple of months before he died, who taught me and so many other people about how important music and spirituality, come together. And I know that it's hotter than hell in this room right now. The people have already talked longer than I planned to, but I want to just to say how grateful I am to have a chance to say a couple of words about my sister and Jerry. I mean, they've set an example. They've both been willing to put aside what they would really like to do to forward their careers, or the whole idea of not having to have it now and to be willing to work for what you really value later and sacrifice now. And I'm really, really proud of them both. And the generosity that my parents had towards my children, and that has carried on with Annette and Jerry, and their willingness to be so generous. And I feel like it's coming down from who Jerry always called Dad Shrimp, which I really appreciated and thought was really cool. I'm a sober alcoholic. I've been drinking over 34 years, and I'm just really glad that the chance to share in the fabulous celebration I was as able to participate in it to the degree I have. And thank you.
Okay, we're going to continue with siblings and introduce Nancy Johns, my dad's oldest sister, visiting from Ypsilanti, Michigan.
Whoops, sorry.
I need to leave.
Oh, wait a minute.
As they said, I'm Jerry's younger sister. Not quite the youngest, but Tom, I'm really the crier of the family. I thought, I can do this. And then you got up here. I've tried to put, I'm the funny sister. That's not how I look. Personality. And so, as the song goes, these are a few of my favorite things I share with Jerry. Lunch, tea, and shopping in Geneva. London sightseeing and tea. Don went along too. Stratford, Ontario, Shakespeare Festival and tea. Star car racing at Sycamore Speedway. That's two. Stagecoach plays starring the fabulous, multi-talented Annette John. Jerry and I road trips in the Corvette. Not much luggage space. Many holiday meals at 2105 Sycamore and tea. Halloween party and auction for charity. I won second place. Reading poems written by Annette. I still have and read one about autumn in the leaves. Halloween celebration in downtown Sycamore. Trick-or-treating in Annette and Jerry's neighborhood. Love Halloween. And they were the first family to visit me in my new home and help me pick out appropriate bird seed. And I tried to get them to cooperate to help me hang one of my mirrors properly and organize my new lake home. And I wish you love, warm blessings, and thoughts. And I'm so glad both of you have been in my life.
Thank you.
Our next speaker is Cheryl Johnson, a friend of my mom's who shares her love of acting and secondhand shopping.
Oh, mercy. Is this a progression of tears?
Happy ones.
I'm going to get through this. Annette made me buy this dress. We went to the Red Shield store about a month ago, and they were having half-price day. The two of us were there all afternoon. And she'd say, "Oh, look at, isn't this cute?" And I'd say, "Oh, great, where can I try it on?" "Oh, put it on right here. They don't care. Just put it on right here." We did that all afternoon. Here, pull my pants down. See if you look all right. I'm amazed we didn't get thrown out. Several months ago, I was over at Jerry and Annette's home when Annette said, "Well, we're going to be celebrating our anniversary soon." I remarked, "Well, that's nice. And how many years?" 50, she said quite lightly. 50, I gasped. Not 50. Are you sure it's 50? She nodded. After I left, I got to thinking, well, it could be true. After all, I've known these folks for the last 25 of them years. And so we gather here today at this wow occasion, in this wow environment, to help these kids celebrate their 50th wedding anniversary. You see, when I returned to DeKalb in 1987, after being away for over 20 years, I attended my first stagecoach meeting. This cute brunette girl was kind enough to take me under her wing and invite me to audition with her at Kishwaukee College. It was then that we were cast as the Pigeon Sisters. Since then, we've enjoyed a multitude of theater experiences together. We've acted together. She's directed and I've acted in her shows, and vice versa. We've auditioned together, and when only one of us was cast, the other bravely forfeited. I think it was because of our fine comradeship. We both write poetry, hers intellectual and mine nonsensical. And we've done programs together in the community. Our sisterly friendship has indeed enhanced my life. Oh, here to talk about Jerry. Jerry. I've never told you this, Jerry, but you know what makes you so special, and not counting the Corvette. You put up with us, and you're phenomenal. Numerous times during one of our planning sessions in the John's living room, Annette and I would be giggling over some kooky thing, being more B-dult than adult. Jerry would stroll into the room and stroll out, just shaking his head. Oh, Jerry, thank you for your patience. But seriously, I need to tell you what makes Jerry and Annette John so special. As very different intellectuals, they combine their minds and their hearts. As individuals and as a team, they have an innate sense of knowing how to fill needs, whether it be welcoming a newcomer into the community, working a food pantry, being attentive to their dear children, Beth and Dominic, and the rest of their great family, or setting up a matching grant for a little theater in a neighborhood town. Jerry and Annette are there, making life a little better for everything in their path. So God bless you, my dear friends, on your 50th wedding anniversary. I love both of you kids with all my heart. Are you sure about the 50?
She got us the box. I got at the theater. It was already made and gold.
Next up is Norm Stahl, a longtime colleague and friend of my dad's from NIU.
If I use my teacher voice, do I need this?
No.
No. The truth is that if I did use this, I could put it down on my Vita as a keynote presentation. And I need all those I can get. Beth, first of all, thank you so much for letting me have this opportunity to speak about your folks. And, you know, I thought about it. You guys have been married a long time. If you think about it, you were married back in a period where there was a presidential assassination.
3 months after.
Who would have thought that a crazed gunman would have shot President McKinley? You know, I've always admired how Annette has stood by Jerry over all these years. When they were first together, and I believe it was before you were married, many of you don't know that Jerry is a veteran of sorts. He was in the big one. Of course, I'm talking about the Spanish-American War. But Jerry came back, Annette was there. Together, there was finishing school, finishing graduate school. And after graduate school, Jerry got an offer to come out here to DeKalb. Long way from Michigan to DeKalb. They didn't know how they were going to make it. But luckily, Annette's family knew a young man by the name of Henry Ford. And together, they were given one of the first prototype Model A pickup trucks in the country. So they packed it up, Jerry put on his overalls, and off they started to come across the many miles, Michigan, then again Michigan, Indiana, and in the middle of Indiana, they broke down. You remember that, don't you? Of course you do. And as they're sitting there on an old dusty farm road going, much like we're doing in this room, a young man walks up and volunteers to help them. And you know, that was John Steinbeck. And at that very moment, the whole concept for Grapes of Wrath was born. Okay, look, Jerry and Annette, you know I'm kidding with you right now. It wasn't the Grapes of Wrath, it was the Beverly Hillbillies. All seriousness aside, we're here, your family, your friends, your colleague, Ned, the guy who sells your Powerball tickets down at the convenience store, all here for one reason. Because we care for you, we love you, we cherish you, we are so appreciative of what the two of you have done with this successful partnership over the years for your friends, your family, and your community. And I couldn't feel more proud to be up here and say that to you. Thank you.
Now we welcome Phoebe Schramm, my parents' very first niece.
Yeah, I'll probably need that, but okay. That was funny, and now I'm gonna follow road again. Sorry, I can't remember stuff. It's not my fault, I promise. When I was 8, 9, I came to Illinois to visit my Antoinette, that's what I called her, it seems appropriate, and my Uncle Jerry for a week or so in the summertime. There was Bible camp in the daytime and fireflies at night in a wonderful world of calm that expanded out. I'm not going to do that.
Oh, your dad did, what the hell?
From the house on Eastgate Drive. My truly bookish nature was suddenly the thing that helped me feel I had a place, an anchor for us back home. I was simply awed. They were such a sweet pair of grown-ups, so unusual themselves. They listened and patiently helped me to emerge from my shy little shell and into their circle of lovely friends. They took me to places the likes of which I had only dreamed through storybook pages of happy endings and a vast world of relationships previously unattainable through seeking deep peace and growth. I was in awe of them at 9, and I continue to be impressed at how they can work through a problem so effectively that from the outside, one can hardly tell that there was ever a problem at all. I realize now that Jerry and Lynette aren't the saints I once believed them to be. They are simply an extraordinary, especially special pair that goes together like wine and cheese, both improving with time. Everybody wanted to not say age. We all know life has its twists and turns. And my dream of getting my doctorate and teaching history were dramatically ended with my cancer diagnosis. I cannot rue the past. I praise the Lord's mercy for my health and for my wonderful son. So I must have focused on what might have been. Instead, I focused on the gracious support and love that I felt pouring out from my family of Johnses. It was so tangible, so meaningful, so heartfelt, so deep and weighty, and full of prayer and God's grace and mercy, that I know that if they are able to send me that much deep, precious, tender care from so far, it must be but a glimmer of the fantastic strength of their relationship, a marriage to write about, because through writing, we taste life twice. I hope that you guys can fill this book up with the rest of the things we're tasting.
Next, we have Lori Ellis Piper, a friend and co-author of my father's, who was supposed to present earlier, but I skipped her accidentally. Yes. Hi, everybody.
On Jerry and Annette's golden anniversary, I was reminded what gold symbolizes. It's something rare and precious and beautiful. And I want to share 3 important lessons that I've learned over the years from afar, watching Jerry and Annette as they interact with each other, with those in the community, with their family, and also with me. The first is, it's important to take time to do the things you love, so life is rich, rewarding, and fulfilling. Whether it's reading a book, tending a garden, writing yet another book, working with teachers, traveling the world, savoring a cup of tea, enjoying a glass of wine, or volunteering at the food pantry, or embracing the arts. It's healthy in a relationship to have different interests and pursuits, but it is essential to appreciate, respect, and embrace those things that make your partner interesting, fulfilled, and dynamic. And by being interesting, engaged people, it looks like a marriage can grow, evolve, and succeed. So thank you for that lesson. The second lesson is to plant strong roots if you want to grow strong branches. Jerry and Annette planted themselves a long time ago in Sycamore, Illinois, and now they are pillars of the community. They are committed to their church, to NIU, to so many worthy causes I could never begin to list them all, to their friends, their neighbors, and their family. And while their network of friends and family and colleagues spans the country and literally the world, many of them are here today showing the strength of the roots that they planted and the branches that they have tended for over the past 50 years. And the third lesson is that giving makes us richer. Whether it is giving time through volunteering or nurturing friendships or supporting worthwhile causes to make the community a better place for all, giving makes us richer, happier, and more fulfilled as individuals and also as a couple. To one of the most generous, civic-minded, philanthropic, caring, inspirational couples I have ever had the honor to know, Jerry and Annette, happy 50th anniversary.
Finally, my brother Dominic, my parents' first masterpiece.
Okay, I'm pretty different than my parents.
No.
And they're probably wondering what I'm going to say next. But they're also pretty different from one another. Mom likes theater and art and music, and Dad likes pinball and auto racing. And I like all of them. They also have some characteristics in common. One is that they are honest. I can't remember having ever been lied to. Another is that they have always operated with integrity. They say something and then do it. And that do as I say, not as I do thing never really came up. And of course, something that's gone from people before, the generosity. We're very generous. Now, whether by nature or nurture, whether by their example or by their genes, I would like to think that I have those characteristics as their son.
You do.
So, that's what all I have to say.
Okay, I appreciate your ability to listen to everything that's been said. My parents will now be cutting their cake, which is a reproduction of the one they had at their wedding, complete with the original bride and groom cake topper. Thanks again for your attention and participation in this party and also in my parents' lives. You're an awesome collection of people. Please enjoy the rest of the afternoon.